Welcome down to Galway. Now, over the last 10 days, former Irish captain and, of course, my old former pal, Rory Best, has, not old former pal, still pal, has walked over 304 kilometres from the Aviva Stadium, all part of the RorysMiles2Mayo, raising vital funds for the Cancer Fund for Children and hopefully to build the Daisy Lodge in Cong in County Mayo. Now, Rory, it's day 10. I'm sure you're delighted to be almost at the end of it. How's the last couple of days been?
Probably the last couple of days has got a little bit tougher because the sun's come out and a few blisters have appeared, and we've had a few sort of the back of my legs and stuff have got quite sore. But I think the whole way through, the support like that has been incredible. Really, really incredible. And
tell me a little bit more about the charity, the Cancer Fund for Children, Daisy Lodge, of course, in Newcastle, and what it will do for people in Mayo and people all around Ireland.
So the charity, really, there's two-prong approach to it. So the flagship is really Daisy Lodge Newcastle, which is a therapeutic respite centre for the families that are going through or just come off the back of cancer treatment. And at the minute, unfortunately, sort of 1 in every 7 families from Crumlin can go there for that sort of 2-3 day break, but there's 6 that can't because it just isn't the capacity. But when we build Cong in County Mayo, that means the entire island can be serviced, the entire island can have that break. And the other part of it, Tommy, is that sort of social work. So when you get that awful news of the diagnosis, that they have community workers and they'll come and talk to the family, they'll talk to the children, they'll talk to the siblings, and then they'll refer them into Crumlin, and then when they come out of Crumlin, it's the same thing, that they'll bring them back into the communities. And all those fears and all those, whenever you get that news, the panic that comes in, they will be able to help them through that. So they do both, and it's a holistic approach to helping families through this.
And as part of this, we've both been to the Daisy Lodge in Newcastle, the facility in Cong. It's an amazing facility, an amazing respite for people when the dreaded cancer does knock, unfortunately, on some people's doors.
It is, and I think when you go up to Newcastle like we've been and you're in the Mourne Mountains and you understand the magic of it, one of the centres is called Narnia there, and it really does feel magical, and it's a time when, you need to remember that some of these kids are maybe in Crumlin for 6 months, and if they have siblings, one parent stays in Crumlin with the sick kid, the other parent stays at home with the siblings, and it is nearly the entirety of the 6 months that they're separated. So as a family unit, they get kind of pulled apart a bit, and then they come to Daisy Lodge, and that's when they get to spend time together. Mum and Dad get to spend time on their own together and get looked after while the kids are playing with other kids, and it's actually, we sort of think about cancer as being sick kids and you feel really sad for them, but when they go there, they're just a normal family, and it's the smiles and the fun they have that really engages you, and that's why no family shouldn't be allowed to have that time together.
Absolutely, and over the last 10 days, the support has just been incredible. We're seeing it even behind here today as well in Anadown Gaelic Football Club as well. But are there any stories that really have hit home to you to realise why this is so important?
Yeah, I think, Tommy, that support's been incredible, but we've had, so on day 1, a young girl called Naomi walked with me, and she was only meant to walk a little bit, but insisted on walking more and more, and eventually her mum had to take her out because she was going that afternoon to Crumlin to get chemo, and they're worried about her doing too much. Then walking out of Thomond Park, as a young lad, Alex, was telling me that he goes up for 5-day bouts now to Crumlin on chemo, and he spends 12 hours a day getting chemotherapy, and the rest of it basically being sick and sleeping and trying to eat something, and for 5 days solid. And he knows he's going at various points in time to go to that, to get that 12-hour blast daily for 5 days, and that sort of stuff is that's why they deserve the break afterwards.
Yeah, the stories it just shows why you've had such support, even at the Aviva Stadium, even at Thomond Park, the whole way along. I mean, you've had personalities, you've had sports people. Has it made it that bit easier having people coming out to support?
It has, because the hardest thing is when you're walking through the villages and the towns and the city, you're walking through buildings, there's people everywhere, and it seems a bit easier. It's always a bit flatter as well normally, but when you're out in the country roads, when you have people with you, it's been brilliant. even former teammates that you know what it's like, Tommy, when you retire, you don't get to catch up with them. But actually the support right across with Nicky Byrne at the very start, you know, a lot of the hurlers and the Gaelic footballers have been incredible with their time and support, and it's just been all of that the whole way through. And I like probably some of the best bits when you're walking in a country lane in the middle of nowhere, and you know this sort of a small family comes out, they come running down to the end of their lane to clap you for the 15 seconds that you're walking past them and put a bit of money in the bucket. You know, those are the sort of bits that are just fabulous, and it makes you remember how much support you got when you played rugby right throughout this brilliant island, and now you're getting it for a brilliant cause.
You're just craving getting the clap in the back, aren't you? He just loves it, absolutely.
Absolutely.
You retired around 4 years, though. You know, and getting involved in charity. I mean, this has become a real legacy project for you. This is your second walk to here in Mayo. You raised over €1 million last time around, aiming for €2 million this year. Is that been something that a real ambition of yours when you did retire, something that you really want to give back?
I think that giving back is probably the key bit. I'm a big believer that we were really lucky to have played sport, and we played it professionally, and you get a profile and you raise a lot of awareness of how great the game is, and you have a responsibility to grow the grassroots of rugby when you're playing. And I think when you leave and you retire, that there's a responsibility to give back to the game, but there's also a responsibility to give back to the community and the society that supported you and came to all the games home and away. And this is a brilliant way for me to do it. Really, really brilliant way to to give back, use that profile for good and to bring people along with you. And look, from a slightly selfish point of view, I've really enjoyed working with the team here at Cancer Fund for Children again. It feels in a similar way to playing rugby, where I'm reliant on them, that team, to bring me along and to show me where I'm going, and they're relying on me to walk and put one foot in front of the other. And
really, that's all you're good at, is really putting one foot in the other. We can't put you down as you've actually organised this, because we know behind every great guy is an even better woman as well. And Jodie, Rory's wife as well here. Jodie, you've been a part of this walk the whole way as well. You must be blown away by the support for it as well.
Absolutely, the support's been amazing, Tommy, and it just makes it all worthwhile, every step worthwhile.
And you've had Ben here alongside you. You've had Ben and Richie as well. Yeah. Or Penny and Richie, apologies. It must be nice to have your own kids along, because listen, it's the dreaded phone call that no family wants to get, and you hear these stories, but to have your own family here, it's important to show them that too.
Absolutely, and it's when I've got to talk, when Rory's talking with the service user, I get to talk mostly to the mum or the siblings, and it's especially when, as a mum, talking to a mum, that you just realise, the need for this and why we need to, especially in the harder days, just keep going, because you want, if anything should happen, your own family to have that support network there for you. So that's definitely, that side's been tough. That's probably harder to deal with than the walking. Absolutely. That emotional side.
And you probably do get the real emotion, the real stories, where people want to talk to Rory about the rugby, but they're the hard-hitting stories as well. But what you're doing is absolutely incredible. It is day 10, of course, of Rory's Miles to Mayo. He has raised over almost €700,000 so far. We are going to try and really push that up over the day and over the next couple of months as well. Congratulations to you, Rory. I think it's time to start walking as well. Jodie, Rory and Ben wants a shout out too as well. Back to you guys in studio.